What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast where we dive into entrepreneurs and business owners and dive into their minds and see what makes them tick. I'm your host, Redbeard. My co-host, Hermes.
What's up?
Special guest today is Mike. So before we get into this interview, I really want to talk about our new centerpiece. We told you guys last week that we had something big coming, and this is it. Last week we had the two little ponds with the two little squares, and our boy Emilio has come through and made it happen. So this will be the new centerpiece. We still have some more things that we're going to do to it, but we just wanted to unveil it to you guys right now. We think it's pretty fucking badass.
Yep.
And it is what it is. So
Emilio killed it on this one.
yeah, killed it. Emilio killed it. I can't wait till we get the base done. We're gonna have the signs. Like, you guys are gonna watch the podcast grow. We're growing with you guys, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great journey. So I guess let's dive into this one. So Mike, if you could compare yourself to a piece on the chessboard, what piece would it be and why?
Man, I put a little thought into it. I feel like the two go-to answers are the pawn and the king, right?
Okay.
For me, it has to be the king. I feel that my business begins and ends with me. I feel like at the end of the day, if I'm not there, it all shuts down. So I'm what keeps it running. We have the pawns that help from the day-to-day, but I think that to keep the show moving, it's the king, and I think that's best represents me.
Best represents you. Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah, that's badass. So here on the podcast, our goal is to kind of change your mind and see if we can get you to kind of think more like a pawn. The pawn mentality, that's what we base it off of, is, having the pawn mentality. And basically, in short, what the pawn mentality is constantly pushing forward, one step at a time, constantly getting help from your friends and other individuals and other pieces on the board. And your goal is to make it to the other end of the board. If you get to the other end of the board, you get to promote into whatever piece it is that you want to become, whether it be the king, queen, knight, bishop, whatever, right? And then at the end of that game, you set new goals and you start right back over and you're right to being a pawn. So that's kind of our goal and our idea. And our goals, I guess, is to try to change your mind and see if we can make it think as a
So
pawn.
you're seeing it as a cycle, right? You start as a pawn and you progress to get to be the king. But then
you start right back
to keep the process
to keep the process rolling. And the cool thing is, like, the queen, right? As far as the chessboard is concerned, the queen is the most versatile piece on the board, right? It can move forward, backwards, side, diagonally. You know what I mean? So the queen, goes out, and then really in the game of chess, you kind of try to protect the king, right? And at the end of the game, when a game is won in a game of chess, the king is checkmated. The king can no longer move, right? So the goal is to go after the king and try to stop him from moving in the game. But as life, I think we're more relatable to a pawn because we're constantly moving forward and constantly pressing and trying to get to the next level. But I think it's awesome that you look at yourself as a king in your particular business. But I think by the end of this interview, I'm really hoping we could change your mind and see if we can get you thinking on the pawn mentalities.
Let's see.
Heck yeah, man. So let's dive into it and see what you think.
All right. So what business do you own?
I own a couple of gas and grubs here in town. I own two, the corner of Benton and Northern.
Okay.
And then also Diagonal and Andy Devine.
Okay.
Right on.
And
Okay.
what is a gas and grub for people who don't know? Who don't live
Gas
in
station, convenience store.
Okay.
They've been around in town for close to 20 years.
Okay.
The two that I have, I've worked at one for almost 20 years, but they're just a couple of convenience stores and gas stations here in town.
Hell yeah, that's badass. And how you like it so far?
I like it. I love working for myself. I think that was my dream growing up, was to work for myself. I never knew what I was going to do, but I did know I was going to work for myself. It turned out to be a gas station. I never would have imagined, but the opportunity presented itself, and I took it. So.
Well, let's we want to dive into that.
Yeah. So what got you in there? Like what? Like I know you work there, but
Yeah, no, I was almost 2 years out of high school, and I was working at Ace Hardware.
Good.
And I walk over on my lunch breaks to Gas and Grub, and I get my sodas every day. And
Okay. Oh yeah, that one's right up the street.
Yeah,
right?
It's right next to me.
Right next to you. Yeah. Okay. All right.
one day the owner, Jan, at the time, she, hey, when are you going to come work for me? Tomorrow. I'll be there tomorrow. She says, okay, I'll pay you what you're making over there. Okay, I'm there. So I started the next day. I think I was, geez, I wanted 19 or 20 when I started.
Do you happen to remember how much you made?
$750 is what I started.
$750
$750.
at the convenience store.
Yeah.
And I worked there, had 2.5 years, and I started going to college. I started out at MCC taking business classes.
Okay.
Because in my mind, I still knew I wanted to run a business. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I thought, I'll take business classes in the meantime and get myself set up. So about 2.5 years in, the owner, Dan, one day jumped in, hey, bud, come get in the truck with me. And I went and jumped in the truck, and he drove down to the gas station that I own now, on the corner of Benton and Northern. And it used to be Dana's Market back in the day.
I remember that.
Knows town well.
Yeah, I remember Dana's Market.
It had been closed down, and probably 6 months. And he pulled into the parking lot of the empty gas station and just says, I want you to run this. Me? Okay. I think I was 21, 22. Like, okay. And I thought, okay, well, with my business schooling and stuff, I think I can do it. This will be a good resume builder. I can use management experience on a resume. So I said, heck, let's do it. And so from day one, I slept in that store when we were under construction. We had full inventory. We didn't have a surveillance system. We didn't have an alarm system or anything yet. So for, I think, 2 weeks, I slept in there every night.
Really?
Well, we built it all up and got it ready to open. And yeah, I think I was 22 when we finally opened. It was March 2008.
March of 2008.
March in 2008.
So when you went from I guess Ace Hardware, when you hired on, were you just kind of like a cashier?
Yeah,
essentially.
More of a stocker. I would stock shelves.
Okay.
They sold hay, so I would load hay for customers. But mainly stocking shelves, cleaning, the day-to-day fixing things.
Okay.
I tried to stay away from the customers when I started out. I didn't like customers so much.
Kind of more to yourself.
Yeah, and they pretty much made it clear that they trained that out of me pretty quick. I had to be customer friendly, and I wasn't at the beginning. I probably was the worst.
Really?
Customer service, yeah, but it took time, and now I love my customers. I couldn't imagine not seeing the regulars that I see every day.
Okay. So what do you think made this Dan? I say this Dan. I know who Dan is, but what do you think made Dan, I guess, pick you to run the store? Like, okay, so you said you were going to college, right? And did you already have your business degree?
No, I probably 6 months in. I think 2 semesters, maybe 1 semester, maybe 2. I don't remember at the time.
Okay.
But he knew I was going for business, and on the side, I also did a bunch of side work for him. We'd do that rock wall that's on the corner there. I helped him build that on my time off, and I think through that he kind of saw that I have a work ethic, and he thought I was someone that he could trust to do it. Yeah, and I'm lucky he chose me and asked me to do it. But part of our agreement was, hey, if you start and run this for me after X amount of time, it might be something I can sell you in the future.
Okay, hold on. Hold the phone. Time out.
I know, a little advance here, right?
No, that's fine. No, let's I want to go into that. So you get into Dana's Market. You help him set it up, and he wants you to run it, right?
Yeah.
So at that point, was that the agreement? Like, then you've been working for him like 2 years, and he's like, hey, I want you to run this, and maybe I'll
I think it was about 6 months in after we had opened. He approached, or actually I approached him, because I think that was when I had my first kid.
Okay.
And I approached him and told him, hey, I'm getting a little older. I'm starting to grow a family. I kind of want to know where my future's at.
Okay.
Because he did mention it once when he told me, hey, you want to manage this place? He asked me, or had mentioned maybe buying in the future. So I approached him and asked him, hey, is this something that is still feasible? Is this still something? And he goes, oh, absolutely. This is still my plan. It's been the plan all along. And it kept me around. Here I am watching my friends that go to college, get their degrees, start their own businesses, move up in their own jobs, and I'm still at the gas station. I'm still still holding out. I'm holding my hope, and it took some faith from me or for me to stick around. But
Was that like how much, I guess, time was that? I mean, so you started in 2008. Well, so that means you started 2006?
no, it was 2008.
That's when you started working
Well,
for
no,
Gas
okay,
and
no,
Grub?
2000. It was 2005. It was October 2005 when I started for Gas and
For
Grub.
Gas and Grub.
In 2008, March was when we opened the
The
location.
new location which you were managing.
So between when I started and when I owned or when I bought it, at least 15 years. In 2005, 2020 is when I.
Okay.
15 years. So you,
Yeah.
quote unquote, not quote, you managed a gas station
For 15 years.
for 15 years and raised a family and
And that's I was thinking about that as I thought about these questions, that it worked perfectly because it enabled me to raise my family, to be around for everything my kids ever needed to do. I could leave work when I needed to. I make my own schedule. It was perfect. And I had opportunities. I had different people offer me jobs to make more money, a lot more money. And it just didn't work. I didn't want to work 60 hours a week. I didn't want to be away from my kids. So I thought, you know what, I'm holding out hope. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to make sense. And it took a lot. I mean, there's plenty of times where I thought about quitting. I had different jobs that potentially lined up. But at the end of the day, I stuck around.
was he like throwing you a bone?
No,
Like,
no,
you know
he
what I mean?
didn't.
Like, hey dude, like here's a little
Speaking
more
of, I
money.
hope he doesn't watch that. No, he didn't. And I wasn't really paid well through most of it.
Okay.
I made it work. I'm frugal with my money, and I just made it work. If anything, I made probably less than the average person doing what my job did.
Really?
Some more hours and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
and just time. And I think it built the character in me because he didn't kind of micromanage me at all. It was entirely up to me. The day to day. I mean, I probably saw him once a week, on average, for 15 years.
Really?
On his business that we started from day one, and so he trusted me with it, and I took it seriously like that and treated it like it was my own business.
Okay.
Which, come to find out, not a lot of people do that. It's hard to find people that will
yeah.
do that for you. But I think he must have seen it, and I think he knew, he could trust me with the business when the time was right.
So you treated it like that Gas and Grub was your Gas and Grub?
For so long, kids would sleep there sometimes. I would have, we lived there.
That's like your whole family too?
Oh yeah, there was times when I'd have my kids because they weren't in school yet. So
Yeah.
I'd have them the whole day.
Just hanging
all
out.
3 of my kids all day with me at work while I was getting stuff done, trying to get. But I wouldn't have it any other way. It's what enabled me to be so close to my family and provide as well.
So basically, is Dan like your mentor?
Oh, yeah.
That way? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He's kind of like my dad as well. I didn't have a dad growing up, and he's taught me so much because I met him at such a young age. I mean, everything about business, life, working out. He's definitely my mentor.
Everything.
Oh, that's cool.
And so you found him at a young age.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was.
It's actually pretty good.
That's awesome. I mean, that's crazy that you held on for 15 years and didn't just on blind faith,
Yeah.
essentially. I mean, and it worked.
And it worked, right?
It
Hey,
worked.
believe me, there was plenty of nights where I go to bed questioning my own decisions. Thinking, is this the right thing? I mean, I have a family I have to provide for. At the end of the day, I can't just work at a gas station forever and make $15, or at the time, $10, $12. And it was scary plenty of times. Living check to check for a long time, scraping by.
Did you ever go to Dan and be like, hey man, do you think I could get a raise? Like,
Yeah,
was
no,
that ever-
I ran into some rough patch with life, and I needed the help, and he did. He stepped up when I needed him most. He did. He gave me a pretty substantial raise, but it was 12 years in, so it was the last couple of years that I worked for him before I made what I would consider like a reasonable wage.
Yeah.
I think before then I would have been considered underpaid.
Underpaid.
Yeah.
That's wild. Did you have any so did you finish out college? Did you finish out your
it took
business
me
degree?
3.5 years to get my associates, but I got my associates in business.
Okay.
business management. Yeah.
So now you went to school, got your business management. So now you're 2011, 12.
Yeah, he was 12.
12?
When I graduated. Yeah.
And then so now you're. No, did you have any training? Did somebody teach you how to manage, or did
No.
you guys just kind of figure it out?
No, it wasn't you guys. I figured it all out on my own.
No shit.
Yeah, he didn't know anything. His wife showed me the basics of how they did things, which wasn't how I was going to do anything. And so
Okay.
now I developed my own way, and that's what was cool. They kind of allowed me the freedom to teach myself. I mean, and
So
there was
you're
tons of
going to
mistakes.
School for business while running a business. And then I guess by the time you own the business, you're like, I already know what
I'm
doing.
good at this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, that was exactly right, because I had to take HR classes and all sorts of different classes that were helping me deal with people, and because that's the most challenging part is just dealing with customers or dealing with people day to day. And so that's what business school gave me the most, I think, was just the ability to, like that, work with people and know how to, talk to them, I guess.
Okay. All right. That's fucking dope, dude.
That's cool.
That's really cool. Like the fact that you hung on for 15 years, you went to school, you were, quote unquote, you felt underpaid. I mean, I guess if you're managing, I don't know what you're getting paid, but you're managing the whole store with he just gave you the reins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you do that, Hermes?
Me?
Like, could you just Connor, run my business?
Well, in the position I'm in now, I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Like, that's wild.
He did, and I say it all the time. I mean, he was so lucky. If I hate to talk myself.
No, yeah.
I've looked for people for 4 years, 5 years now. You don't find somebody that's as committed and would put their,
Put it all on the
all of it. And I think he could tell and saw it. The guy would go on vacation for 2 weeks and not once worry about his business. And me, I can't leave for 3 days without being stressed to death.
Is there? That's what I'm the same way. I'll leave in the barbershop. I know the barbershop runs fine and it would be okay, but I leave and I'm like,
Still, yeah.
is somebody gonna do something stupid? Is there gonna be a problem? Is there gonna I know Juan's good. I know I don't have to worry about Juan necessarily, but I think in my head what if somebody breaks in? And Juan, dude, he'll call me up and he'll be like, hey, Rick here. I'm like, what's up, dude? He's like, the barbershop burnt down. And but that type of shit, I'm like, you know what I mean? In my head, I'm like, what? Because in my head, my brain's always going what if that happened? I'm like, what happened? He's like, oh, just fucking with you. I'm like, damn it.
That's not cool.
I'm like, I hate you so much.
Yeah, that sounds like him.
Red Beard, what's up, dude? Somebody broke into the barbershop. All our shit's gone. No way.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding. How's vacation?
It was okay.
I was doing good, dude. Until you called me, you bastard. Oh, he does that shit to me all the time, man. It drives me crazy. So Dan owned the Gas and Grub on Stockton Hill and Northern. You guys opened the old Dana Market, which is on Benton and Stockton Hill, right?
Yeah.
Did he own any other gas and at the time?
The other one on Diagonal and Annie Devine, he opened actually before the Benton and Northern store. I think then a year and a half before. And I had never worked at that one. But he opened all of them in town at one point. And the only one he didn't own at the end of 2020 was the Wallapai store. He had sold that to a brother-in-law years ago.
And that was in the Bullens, right?
Yeah, the Bullens, yep.
Yeah.
Bill and Becky Bullen, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, at the end of 2020 is when he started selling them all off. I got mine. He had a deal going for the other one that fell through. And I think 4 months later, in March of 2021, I bought that one right after the first one. And that was tough. That extended our family pretty far out. I was working 12, 14 hours a day, about 7 days a week for a long time.
Just trying to, because you got both stores?
Yeah, and I hadn't done both stores ever. It's just one store.
Not to diverge from that, we'll kind of go back to that, but did he do the same thing with other stores? Like he kind of gave you the reins for this one. Did he do the same thing with other managers?
Yeah, he...
Like just here you go, run it?
Nah, I mean, yeah, I think that I think that was a fault of his. I think that was, I think he had no choice. I mean, I think the stores will wear you so thin that you basically have to put a certain amount of trust and workload on certain people. Whether or not they can handle it is to be determined. But
Really?
I think he had one store out in Truxton.
Yep.
He had a couple of people, I think 4 or 5 sets of managers that he went through out there, just trying to find someone who could stick. I mean, you got to find somebody who can drive 40 minutes every day.
Yeah.
So basically, anyone who's willing to, you're willing to give them a shot. And I mean, what percentage of those people are actually going to be able to run a business?
That's wild. He would just
Hold down
like,
the fort and everything.
I mean, there were times, I don't want to voyage too much of his personal stuff, but like deposits wouldn't get taken to the bank for a month or 3 weeks, or so because it was out in Charleston. He couldn't be out there every day and monitor what they were doing. And so I think it was tough, and he never found that person like me that was able to just do it and not fuck it up.
that's wild, dude. That's like, I wonder if Dan would come on here.
He might.
I've known Dan for quite a few years. He might be able to get him on here
I
too.
don't think I've ever met him.
But that's wild, dude. He would. I didn't know that.
But I think it's because he just had no choice. Like I mean, he couldn't do it himself. He has a whole family himself. He's got 6 other stores.
And he would just, here you go.
Here, and I mean, there was
Let
times
him
when
rip.
they would steal from him. There was times when, so
That's wild. But I mean, I guess if you just kind of,
Yeah, like if you just walk away from the business.
yeah. When they're not, I mean,
Yeah.
like I tell you, I saw him once a week. They probably saw him once a month.
Oh, geez.
that's nuts.
So imagine cutting your business loose to somebody.
How do you keep it open?
It basically paid for itself, and he was basically keeping it. I don't think it made him a lot of money. I think he was just keeping it to
So,
to build it, to have an
To build
asset.
an
So
asset,
at the end of
sell
it, he could sell it and make his money.
Well, I mean, you would know. I mean, you're in it. You know what I mean? Like, you know roughly how much they generate. Now it's different, I guess, when you. So your store is probably different than the rest of the stores, obviously, because you have this. Well, you have your business degree, and then you have this mindset of, I have to make this work. I'm treating this business like it's my own, and I want to see it succeed, right?
Right.
So your store probably ran, I'm going to say, fairly smooth, right?
that one always seems to be pretty good. I go to that one quite a bit.
Yeah, it was. I think business-wise, I think the Wallapai store was always the busiest one.
I think that's just location, right? I mean, that's kind of the
and the
higher,
size and stuff. Yeah.
higher end area of town too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a little bit more money.
But then the Northern and Stockton Hill, that one on the corner, like overall in town was one of the best, busiest number-wise for soda, beer, gas, for years, for a long time, until that Circle K opened up. That store dominated, and then mine. That was the third of his money makers.
Really? That's wild. And then, okay, so now you have 2. Which one of your stores does better now?
That one, the Northern and Benton store.
Northern Bend store beats the diagonal one.
Yeah.
What? Probably, do you think location?
Yeah.
Location,
I think the
Well, it's kinda
demographic, the demographic of the average customer, I think, I mean, you could probably just break it down to the average income. I mean, is
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, so
Yeah.
diagonal's like Birdland. Like, let's just be honest. Diagonal's like
Which would be the
Birdland,
lower
which is
income
the
area.
lower income area of Kingman. And then Benton is Butler.
not that it's much better.
No,
but
but
it's still
it's better.
But it's-
Yeah,
when
but
you're on, Northern Avenue, there's
catching more.
everybody drives.
there's that's a main road.
Yeah.
That's a main road where,
Diagonal is just
it's
like,
on
if you're turning
66.
off to there, it's convenient, but
Yeah, and it's like when if you're just cruising down the freeway, you're kind of just hauling ass.
Yeah, just
You know what I mean?
blow right back. Well, and I do need more signage out there on the highway, but
You get there.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. So let's dive back into that mentor thing. So you met Dan. Did you have any other mentors? Like, how much do you think Dan affected where you are today?
100%. I don't think if I met him, I wouldn't be where I am.
Like without.
I mean, I may still be successful, but where I am now, no. I have to give credit to him. He's, like I said, he was like my dad, my mentor, he's the one who gave me my opportunity. And I got into buying these stores with no money. I had no money.
Well, yeah, let's dive into that. How do you buy a gas station? How do you buy a
no money.
convenience store with
Well, I did. I had to come up with some cash, and I had to borrow some from family to get into a down payment. But it was really small, smaller than anything you'd normally have to pay for anything like that. And it was owner will carry, so he's just carrying the loan for me himself.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
That's
for
cool.
both stores.
Wow.
So it makes it easy.
legit.
Hell yeah, dude, that's a man of his word right
That is
there.
a man.
I mean, shit.
And I went to him one day like, I know you're making the payment every month off of me, but like I see what I make. Like, why are you doing that? Like, why would you be willing to just let me have that? Like, here, and I'm just making it easy because I'm done with it. I don't want to do it anymore. I just want away from them. I just want to make my money and be done.
Really?
Cool, I'll take over.
And you know, that's something that I think about a lot sometimes too. That goes into a lot of the podcast and the pawn mentality is like being good to people. And I think if you're good to people, good things come back tenfold, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't be good to people just to get something from it, right? Like I think you have to be good to people just
Genuinely,
to be good.
yeah.
Genuinely, you have to want to be good to people. I think that's when good things happen to you. When you actually like, you don't do it for money. You don't do it for, you know what I mean? This man sounds to me like, I mean, he's your mentor, obviously. He took you in and was like, look, I see this kid who wants to hustle and grind and push forward and be that pawn and you continue to try to grow. And he spent 15 years with me. Well, 18 years? 15 years before he bought it.
Almost 18, yeah.
Almost 18 years. He spent 18 years. Dude, that's 20 years as a gas station manager?
Yeah.
That's a long fucking time.
See, I think that's it. And I don't know in his head what he was thinking, but for me, I view it. I was underpaid for so long,
Oh yeah.
but at the end of the day, with the opportunity, I'd do it again. I would do the same thing again. Knowing what was at the end of the tunnel, I would be willing to. And I think whether he knows it or not, I mean, that's a learning lesson in of itself. Living that struggle for that long teaches you something that you don't get any other way.
Can I ask that? Like, what made you stay?
I think once I got so deep, it was like, hey, I'm 30 something now. I mean, what other choice do I have? I want to know that I couldn't wait 10 years and then skip out and get nothing out of it.
Yeah.
Did you guys conversate about it?
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah. There was a time.
throughout time.
There was a time I think it was when I was 30. Again, I sat him down again. I think it was after I had my last kid, and I sat him down and asked him again, can we get something in writing? Like, I want something that I can look at every day and know that I've got something to look forward to. And he did. He wrote it all out on paper. And not only that, the same price that he charged me is the same price that he wrote down that day.
Oh really?
So
Whatever, 10 years later, 12 years later, he could have gotten more for the store, but he stuck to the same price that he wrote down on that piece of paper that day.
no.
So
That's a man of his word. Right
That's
there.
that right. I think that's it, dude. You want to talk about a mentor?
Yeah, we gotta get him out there.
Yeah, we got that. We got to get that.
In business school, I did one of my finals in small business class was I had to do a paper on an entrepreneur, and I did it on him and all the businesses that he's run, because he's had like 10 different businesses,
Okay,
pawn shops, and I mean all sorts of stuff. He's got.
really? I didn't know that.
He'd be a great guy to interview if he'd do it. I don't know, but.
And we'll try.
He's the man,
We'll
yeah.
see what happens. And that's an awesome mentor to have, man. And the fact that 10 years later he stuck to the same price that he gave you. Well, if you don't mind me asking, what kind of, just a general number, I guess. What is a gas station growth in 2000 and?
Both of my stores, I think the slower one did about 3 million, and then the busier one did about 4.5 gross.
Yeah,
Last
that's
year,
gross.
yeah.
Yeah, that's not net. But I'm just, I'm just curious. So obviously a lot of money goes after that. But so maybe I want, and like you say, he's kind of letting people just run it, but they kind of pay for themselves, I guess.
Yeah.
And they
Oh,
got
for
to
sure.
make a little bit of money,
For sure.
right? If he's willing to, okay, let's go buy another one. Let's go buy another one. Let's go buy another one, and then you're willing to just keep. That's so
Yeah.
like we get on here and we talk all the time, like a lot of these kids with social media, we talk about social media ruining today's society, and everybody wants that quick fucking, it's gonna happen right now.
Quick millionaire.
Quick millionaire, if you're not a millionaire by 25, then you fucked up and your life is over and shit sucks, and but that's not true. That's not true at all. I mean, Mike's
I wonder, had I grown up with like social media now, because you see it all the time. I mean, you can't help but feel that way.
Yeah.
Had I grown up when I, would I be different? Like not many people would stick around like that. And I think about it all the time, like, I don't really know what drove me to want to stick around like that.
That's what
it's just in me. Like I'm a self-starter. I'm a self-motivator. I can analyze myself. I don't need anyone to tell me what I'm doing wrong on anything. I know what I'm doing. I'm really self-aware. And I think that goes a long way too.
And he probably saw that.
Yeah, he had to, because like I said, there was times where I didn't see him for a couple of weeks. We just never had to, never worry, never had to.
Do you think discipline has? I would say that's a big discipline thing, right? Like,
oh, for sure.
I mean, that it doesn't get much more discipline. I mean, if you're underpaid, you're struggling, you're doing your best to raise your family. Well, like,
I'm 22, 23, and I show up to work every single day. Don't go out and get drunk. That wasn't me, man. I was the guy, all the friends would be like, hey, we're going to the bar. I gotta go to work, man. I'd be there in the morning,
What was that like? What did you, like, yeah.
I think I lost a lot of friends, not because they didn't want to be my friend, but because I wasn't around. I was the guy that was always at work, or always, oh, he's got kids now. I was one of my friends to have some kids. So that took me away from the social life, and that, I guess that's a give and take. But I think that's anybody. Once you start your family, you start to get a little bit more secluded from your friends. But
I think that's true. I think as we go, you kind of stop.
But I think that's healthy, though. You need to spend time with your kids. I look at those people that I know, and their mom has their kid, or their friends do, and they're always out at the bar. And that wasn't me. That was never going to be me. I would never allowed that.
I just can't, Mike, I can't believe, like, how do you, there's got to be something that you were hanging on to, like, this guy is going to sell me his gas station, like,
well, no, I mean, think about
18 years, dude.
After a certain point, I think it was like out of necessity. I think I had gotten so deep that was my only way. That was my only choice, and it had to work.
Like, you're just praying, and
it had to work.
This has to be all your eggs in one basket, right?
I don't even think it was praying. It was just like what's that thing you always talk about? Visually? No, what's it called?
Like dreaming?
No.
Oh, like manifestation.
Manifestation.
No, part of me feels that way. Like, there's been other things in my life I feel like I've been able to manifest like that. But
that's a part of freaking big one.
Part of it,
That's a gas station.
Like even when I was younger, I can remember one time sitting in Alfonso's. You remember Alfonso's?
Yeah.
And I was in high school, and a buddy of mine asked me, he says, what are you going to do when you graduate? And I think we were sophomores. And I told him, I don't know, man, but I'm going to own my own business. And I'll never forget that. To this day, I'll still remember that day. That's what drove me forever. I told Nick, I'm going to own my own business, man. I'm going to own my own business. And I wasn't going to stop until I did, and that was my chance to do it. And I couldn't give it up.
Well, yeah, I mean, and obviously, I mean, if he's your mentor, you're going to believe him. Mm-hmm. Like, what, like, if you're looking up to somebody and somebody's helping you, and obviously, like, by him being your mentor, he's like, hey, Mike, or, so you go work for them, right? And I want you to manage this store now. Like, obviously, you had built a relationship in that 2 years, and he's your mentor. So I guess at the end of the day, why wouldn't you believe him?
Yeah. Right.
If Hermes, if you're my mentor, or Mike, you're my mentor, and I trust you, build a trust there, right? There's a bond, and it's not like he was like, hey, I'm going to give you this store.
No, it was like your dad telling you,
yeah,
I'm going to do this, and that's how I viewed it. People would ask me, like, what if he doesn't, like, hold it, isn't a part of it? What if something happens? And that was my biggest fear, is like, what if business goes wrong and, like, he can't keep them? But I never know. Like, what if it just doesn't work out? But it was always, I mean,
yeah, but at the end of the day, you got a turnkey business that you already knew how to manage.
Yeah.
Like, you knew it wasn't going to fail.
Yeah. No, that's
18 years deep.
That's why going into it, taking on the millions in debt that I have now, it wasn't even a thought, because I've done it every day. It's run the same way. I've run it the same. So as long as I run it like it's always been run, I see no reason we can fail.
You didn't even have to change any SOPs or anything because you created your own business.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, that's how I'm looking at it is if Dan gave it to you and was like, look, I want you to manage this mic and just do it and figure out how to run it and make it make money, right? And he let you do everything. You created everything at 22 years old.
Yeah.
You created your mission statement essentially. You created your standard operating procedures. You created everything
Oh, yeah.
at 22, and then it was making Dan money. So when Dan gives you the opportunity to buy it, and
I was over there, yeah.
You are
in business school. I did it based on a convenience store because it was so easy for me. I was already managing it. So when I did all my business papers, it was
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
so it kind of worked hand in hand. It was cheating almost.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
I was getting
for
that
real.
experience as it was happening.
We need to go to business school.
Well, I have a question.
There was about 5 classes out of all of them that I took that I would apply directly to what I know now.
And that's what I would like to. I've thought about that. I've thought about taking a business class because obviously you're in it now, and there's so many different things, and because there's way more. It's way more in depth and involved. I've thought about taking a business class, and I kind of want to ask the professor, like, how many businesses have you run?
Right.
Because it's not. I've never taken a business class, but like you just said, there's only maybe 5 classes that you could have maybe applied to what you applied today. And I've always wondered about that. Like, if I took a business class, would I really learn anything?
There's a few, like the Small Business Development Center that they have at the college out there. The lady at the time who ran that had owned a ton of businesses, and her husband had owned a ton.
Okay.
And she was awesome. She was a great teacher, and they gave you a ton of resources at that. You could get loans and grants and stuff from your business. So it was that specific class. It was small business development. That was the actual class. It was probably the most beneficial class I took.
They teach you like
Then, like-
marketing and.
Oh yeah, and then I actually took marketing, and that was okay. But when you learn it out of a book in college, it's not the same as applying it in the real world.
Especially if you're living.
There's only a few things like college, business accounting. I took that, and that was great. That was the one class I'd suggest to anybody who's running a business. And I would take it again because there's so much you cover and so much I wasn't able to retain.
Okay.
But that one applies directly to what you do in your day-to-day business. A lot of the other ones, like human resource management, like that one was okay because it helped me deal with some people. But macroeconomics, microeconomics, you're just in there sitting in a class all day in front of the camera because a lot of those are virtual.
Yeah.
Awful. I hated them. But the ones that I could actually apply to, it was most of the small business ones.
Okay.
Were the ones that, but I don't think you can go in and just say, I want to take that class and that class. Like, I think they want you to sign up for like the degree.
Right.
And like, okay, and then you got to take like the prereqs just to get to the one you want to take. And because I thought about doing it too, going back and taking refreshers on certain things like that business accounting.
Hey, so you don't get to. That's retarded.
I'm pretty sure you can't just go in and take just a random, like, I'm going to take that one class.
And that's why they have all these prerequisites, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's bullshit. Well, there's another fucking reason why college is a fucking.
Don't quote me, because they might, but
Yeah.
from what I read last, that's...
No, that makes sense because I hear a lot of these kids, in the barbershop, they're like, "Oh, I'm getting ready to go to college." I'm like, "Well, what are you going to college for?" And their answer is always like, "Well, I'm not really sure yet, but I'm going to take these prerequisites, or I'm going to do this." I know that I have to take these classes in order to fucking do something, so I'm going to do these first. Well, like you say, if I want to do
Why would I have to
an
take...
accounting class, why do I need to learn about HR?
Yeah. In college, I ended up taking a math class I didn't need to take, and I'm horrible at math. And I got a D on it, and I passed, but barely, but it destroyed my GPA. And then at the end of it, they're like, "Oh, you didn't even need to take that one. That wasn't even part of your degree." And so now my GPA, and I didn't even need to take it. So and that's why I think business, I've heard people say in the past, business degrees are one that when you hear someone say, "Oh, no, don't go get your business degree," because it applies almost to nothing. Like, you can't just go like, "Here, I have my business degree," and then just go start doing anything.
Right.
Like, it doesn't give you the skills necessary to do anything. You just have a degree saying that you went to business school.
Did they teach you how to start an LLC?
Yeah.
They teach you
Yeah,
that part.
and like you were saying, I had to come up with the mission statement. I had to come up with the day-to-day operation. I had to come up with all of it, marketing, and it was cool. It was beneficial. It taught me how to do all of that. But that was that one small business class that I took.
See, and I learned all that stuff from reading books. And so from reading books and then just like talking to people and asking questions. Like I have never taken any college. Well, I did. Okay, I lied. I took an EMT class, which was quote unquote college, and I went through a fire academy, which was through the college. But I've never taken a business degree. I've never taken a college course in anything. Dude, I graduated with like a 3.6 GPA. And I remember my math class, I was in integrated math. Like I've always been like decent at math, but not like good enough to like
Calculus
or in algebra and all that. Like, you know what I mean? Like I can do, and like now, I think I'm almost better at math now than I was in high school.
Yeah, I am.
I think so. Yeah, I think I'm way better, but I don't use algebra for anything. I don't use calculus for anything. You know what I mean?
All I ever use the algebra for is just Excel, but
yeah.
But like, do you really need?
You know,
like much algebra for that.
And I think that's one of those things. I might kind of go on a little rant here, but like with high school, they teach you, you know, you gotta have your math classes, your English credits, and your U.S. history credits, and all this shit. But like in business, I'm gonna be 100% honest. Like science, like I don't apply any of that shit. Like basic math skills, I think you need. I think you need to understand English, and I think personally, they don't drive history enough. And I think this is something that's more new for me. Like history is like I'm realizing how important history is, because I think maybe I'm getting more into politics.
I think as you age, that's natural anyway. But
yeah, you know, I'm more interested in like what's happening in the fucking world and how is it going to affect me and my small business.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, it's not that I'm interested so much in politics on the day-to-day bullshit. Like I don't particularly
give
care
a shit about. Yeah, no, I get you.
You know what I mean?
I'm exactly with you on that.
But like tax codes and what, you know what I mean?
Who's going to give us the biggest
Who's going to give us the biggest tax breaks or da-da-da-da. And like, I'm starting to realize like how the rich operate and how the reason they don't pay taxes is because they don't become profitable, and like learning what a 1031 exchange is and stuff like, you know what I mean? Like that stuff interests me. And when it comes to politics, that's the stuff that interests me. Like if that makes sense. And I think that's just with age.
Yeah.
I think you start to care a little bit more about that with age, because you're like, well, wait a minute. Hermes, you and I talk about it all the time. Like we feel like we're not rich, you know, we're not like fucking millionaires or billionaires, but we're like in that, but we're not poor either. Right. We're in like I would say upper middle class. Yeah. You know,
Around there.
Upper to maybe middle to upper middle class, and then you see everything happening in politics, and you see them phasing out the middle class legitimately.
Like you don't know if we're going to be going back down here.
Yeah.
Or if we're going to keep climbing.
Exactly. So like I feel like I pay attention to more of that stuff. Just like the other day, like I mean I don't care like go into politics, like Kamala Harris and the whole capital gains tax and the unrealized gains. Like that's so fucked for the small business owner, or not just small business owner, a W-2 employee, dude. Like that's fucked up on so many levels, because how are you gonna tax somebody on an unrealized gain? Like they didn't even make any money. You take your 401k or your IRA, right? And let's say it makes some money. Okay, let's say it makes $100,000 in a year, which is way, not fuck that. Let's say it made $2,000, $2,000 in a year. But it's unrealized because you didn't take any of that money out. But then the government is going to tax it.
Tax you.
And then next year or 3 years down, you know what I mean? Every year you keep paying this unrealized tax, and then the market crashes and you lose all that. So you paid taxes on money you never even made. What kind of fucking? You never even took it. Like it was sitting in a 401k or an IRA or retirement account that you can't touch till you're 64, 65, whatever the number is. And unless you want to be penalized on it, but then the government just gets to get in there and tax you on it. Well, and take 22.7%.
If I understand it right, though, it's just the ultra rich.
It's like 40 million.
But it's still going to screw everything up because most of the ultra rich, like you said, so say you have stocks, say you have a 100 million in stock and it gains value. I mean, it's not going to take a lot of value to produce a lot of unrealized
potential.
And so they're going to tax you. And most of those guys don't carry that type of cash. They don't have tens and hundreds of millions of dollars in cash to just go pay in their taxes. So then they've got to draw it out. So that's going to totally slow the economy.
It slows it, ruins the economy.
It's completely ruin it.
It screws everybody.
I don't see how that'll even be possible.
I think the big thing what would happen is everybody that has a bunch of freaking houses, they're gonna start selling it all off because why wouldn't I if I'm getting hit with all this tax, you know?
Well, that's
It would no longer be beneficial to have thousands of properties because you're gonna I mean, geez.
So they're gonna owe.
You're gonna owe, but then
could you imagine?
So then they get you on the other end. So now you're selling those houses, and now you're paying capital gains tax because they want to mark up to 44.6%.
Or even worse, now everything's flooded.
Well, that's their idea is to. They say that the upper are making too much, right? They're too rich.
Yeah, but they don't make any. That's the thing. Okay, so they do a 1031 exchange. Okay, let's use that for example. And for people who don't know what a 1031 exchange is, and this is stuff that I'll be 100% honest. This is stuff I'm currently learning about. Right. So 1031 exchange is, let's say, Mike, you have your gas and gross, right? And let's say you want to get out of it. So say you sell your company for, let's just say $5 million. Say you sell one of the convenience stores for $5 million. If you were to cash that out, whatever that percentage is on the capital gains tax, what you pay. But if you invested to say 3 more gas stations, which you're now going to cash flow more money, right? But now you've taken that money and you didn't get to actually keep it, right? You just put it into different businesses. Now it's going to grow again. But then it goes right back into the unrealized.
It's going to be even deeper then.
Yeah, now you're going the opposite direction. Like it's just.
Well, that's it. They're going to take growth. Oh, yeah, it's going to be an interesting concept too. Yeah. I don't think it ever gets into.
Yeah. And you never know how greedy they're going to get. They're like, oh, it's only going to be for the ultra rich. Then soon they're going to be targeting just people who made $1 million.
Like who's ultra rich now?
Oh, they're going to be, oh, you made 100,000. Okay, we're going to give you an extra 10% tax.
Yeah. You know they've got more in the pipeline if they're starting to track every transaction everyone does done.
Oh yeah, like okay, the barbershop for example. So what is it? If I put in through, is it Zelle? I think it's everybody. It's not just me. But if you put in, is it $600?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you put in more than $600,
Venmo's the same way.
Venmo, more than $600, they track you on it.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
I've taken cash to the bank and they asked me, what's this from? None of your business. She's like, I have to ask. And I'm like, oh, sorry. I was kind of offended. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. What does it matter? I'm trying to.
Could you imagine asking something
candy bars and freaking Coca-Cola.
That's just like when you go in there, like when I go do a flip or something, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go buy this. So I say I have cash in the bank, so I go over there and I go to pull cash. Well, what are you doing? What's this going for?
Yes.
Does it matter?
I hate when they ask me that. Yeah.
Have you ever had this problem? So I had a money order. You might not have had this issue, but Hermes probably has. So I bought a fifth wheel. I bought for 20 grand cash.
Okay.
So I just went to the guy, paid him 20 grand. Picked it up, took it to my house, shampooed the carpets, detailed it up, cleaned it up, listed it. I think I sold it for 28,000. So I made 8,000 profit, right? The guys come down. What did he do? I think he had a cashier's check for 25 grand, and then he gave me 3 grand cash. So I go to the bank to cash out this cashier's check. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the whole reasoning for getting a cashier's check is to prove that it's like the bank.
The money's there.
The bank is saying the money is here, so you don't have to worry about it, right? That's the whole reasoning to be safe with a cashier's check. Right, so you're not walking around with 30 grand
check or
a personal check it can bounce. A cashier's check is saying this bank is saying that the funds are here. So I go into the bank. I'm like, here you go. And I think I had found another flip or something. Okay. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay,
you want to put a hold on it, or?
Yeah, they wouldn't pay me until the next day. They're like, this has to run through, and I'm like, what's the point of having a fucking cashier's check? Well, we have to make sure the funds are there. Well, isn't that the point of having a cashier's check? The bank is showing you that you have the funds? Oh, well, and then they'll be like, oh, well, we can give you some. So that's another thing I noticed. If you have money in the bank, right? Like, let's say you have 10 grand in the bank and you're trying to cash out a cashier's check for 20, they'll give you 10
Yeah.
because you have 10 grand.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of...
Well, that's the story of my life. Every Friday, we get a bunch of cashier's checks and just regular checks. And I don't have my money until like Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yep. So Friday, cash them all in. We're broke until Wednesday.
Like, makes no sense that, like you said, why not just do a personal check or cash or?
Yeah. So then the bank, right? So is the bank just making money off the interest, like for holding it for that too? I think so. I don't know.
I mean, in theory, I guess, just
In theory,
you ain't got
they
time
pull it
to
right off the back, go loan it.
Yeah, loan it to some people, make some money on it, and then go, okay, we need to give this guy his money.
Yep.
Now that it's been 7 working days.
Yeah, like that's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the whole banking system is
Isn't it crazy that
fucked.
they make all their money off of everyone else's money?
Yeah, and think about that, dude. So if that's happening to you, happens to me, happens to you, like think about how many millions of people are in the world today that's happening to.
And that's why those banks are.
Well, like a new way to lose some money is to use Apple Pay.
Yeah.
How like they're like, oh well, if we can send it to you in like less than like 5 minutes if you
Oh yeah, they charge you a fee.
yeah
only
if you
this
eat
much,
like
yeah.
$5 or something like that.
Otherwise, it's 3 days.
Yeah, I'm just like, wait, what?
So that
My own money?
Yeah. When in reality, they could give it to you right now.
Yeah.
It didn't take 3 days. They just do that so they can, like you said, it's another avenue to make some more money.
So here's the question. Ooh, this would be so. I'm gonna look this up now because I'm curious. How much money do you think they make from? So, if you pay the fee, they make a cents, whatever, depending on how much money it is, right? So they charge you their fee to get the money that day. So there's that much money. If you wait the 3 days that you asked you to wait, how much money do you think they make off of your money,
Probably that amount
or more?
or more.
Yeah, that's probably why they came up with that amount of days.
Yeah.
So we need at least this much days to make this much money off of the, to make that.
Wow.
$1,000, we're gonna charge you $80, and that's probably what they would make.
If they kept your money for the
If they
3
kept-
days.
yep.
I think that's like at the gas station. That's I kind of liken it to how I buy my gas. I'll buy my gas and I changed my tons recently, but it was at 10 days.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay for it for 10 days. So they let you sell through what you have and then pay them.
Okay.
So then you can keep it. But it artificially inflates what your account has all the time.
Right.
Because,
Oh yeah.
because there's times like my one load of gas is 30 grand. And so if sometimes I'll be 2 loads out because of it's on a weekend and now I've got 60 grand extra in my account that isn't actually there because come Monday it's gone.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're like, oh man, I got 200 grand, I'm like, no, you don't.
No, you
got
don't.
140 grand, or
Yeah. How does that work? So that's I'm curious about that actually.
Gas.
How does gas work? Like, do you pay it? Obviously, you got to be parking up, right?
Yeah.
But does gas fluctuate on your end as much as it fluctuates on our end?
If it changes on our end, it'll change on the user end as well.
So
There's
there's-
almost never a time when the station's going to eat the.
Oh yeah.
So
Sometimes I will, but not much.
So like if you bought gas for, I think now this is just throwing some numbers out there. If you bought gas for $2 a gallon and you sell it for $2.50 a gallon, and then the next load they're selling it for $2.50 a gallon, do you mark up the next load, or do you make the change on the $2 a gallon?
So me, I let Maverick, Circle K dictate the market because they control so much of the area. So on average, my price will change probably 3 times a week,
Okay.
whether it be up or down 5-10 cents on average at once. Sometimes it'll go 5 cents, 2 days later 5 cents, 2 days later 10 cents.
Wow.
And so in 1 week it'd go up 40 cents. And that's when it sucks because I'll get a load and say the price drops. I mean, I'll fill up 8,000 gallons and then the price drops 40 cents. And now I'm stuck at the higher price while everyone else, and I have to eat the difference sometimes.
So you got to take an L, right?
Not all the way, but I'll split the difference a lot of times. So what I would normally make, I'll split in half. And it'll keep me in the region, because if you go too far to one side, you're too high, no one will come. And if you go too far to the one side, you're not making any money, and it's not worth it to even have it.
That's got to be a balancing act.
Do people really watch the gas prices that
It's amazing. I've had my own family tell me they went to Circle K and saved 6 cents a gallon. And I'm like, no, I'll personally pay you $20 every 2 months or whatever you're saving right there. 6 cents a gallon. So hold on, let me do some math. I was telling them, you got 20 gallons, 6 cents. I mean, really? I mean, do some math. You're saving $2 or $1.20. Like, that's insulting to me as your family member.
Yeah, you're talking pennies.
Like, if you're a real estate agent, I'm going to them to buy my house when you're my family member. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, not real estate's a little different.
But even still, like,
$20. Like,
if your mom or your sister was a real estate agent, wouldn't she be offended if you went to this guy? And, like,
That's what. That's.
I have my
I'm
own
gonna
family.
save $15 going to this guy.
The only time I'm okay with it is if, like, oh, I got $1 off a gallon at Safeway, and my grandma will do that to me sometimes, and I'm like, I can't argue with that.
Well, dude, you got the Smith's card or whatever.
You get $1 off, you're saving $1 off what I could give you, whatever. I can't blame you for that. But
So I'll be honest, dude. Every time I get gas a year. Fucking like I'll be locally.
Dude, my shop's right next to it.
Yeah, I get gas with you, and I will go to Levi. Right, Levi owns the other one. I'll go to you and Levi's store every once in a while. Like if we get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to go fishing, and I can't get ice at your store for some reason because the doors aren't open. I don't know. I don't know if they'll. I don't think-
depends. It's at 5 or 6 on the weekend.
Yeah, see, so, and I'll be up at like 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'll be like, oh, we got to go to Maverick because we got to get ice. Like, especially in the summertime. Or what I'll do is like right now, you know what I mean? It's almost 9 o'clock, and I'll hook the boat up, and I'll drive it over there, and I'll go fill it up, and I'll get the ice the night before,
yeah.
or throw it in the cooler. You know what I mean? And then and I do that just because you come to me, you support me, so I'm gonna support you. But I'll say this. I think I stopped watching gas prices personally. I did used to watch gas prices, but I probably stopped. I think I made like a conscious decision in my head, like, look, I have to get fucking gas. And like you say, it's 5 or 6 cents a gallon. Is this really gonna? And I can only afford to put $20 in my fucking tank, right? So is it really that big of a difference? Like, is it really gonna break me?
Oh, you'll see people out there with the hose getting the last, like, shaking it to get the last few drops out of it.
I should.
That's like a drop is not gonna get you.
Or my biggest thing I hear people say that don't usually shop on our side of town is what they'll say. They're on the other side of town is, I never know if your gas is good. Like, they'll think the quality of our gas is bad because we're not like a Circle K or something. And I always try and explain to them, like, there's only a few like spouts that you can get gas. All the companies get them through the same places. There's a Vegas one, there's a Phoenix one, there's only a few. Everyone gets them from there, besides a Chevron that has their own.
With Tektron.
Like, everyone else is getting them from the same one. I probably have the same exact gas that Circle K or Maverick had. You see the Maverick truck in line with the Pro truck that's getting my gas.
Right, the same thing.
So then, okay. Yeah.
And that's something I think's crazy too, dude. Like the whole Tektron thing, and like Chevron.
Mm-hmm.
Chevron is like 50, 60 cents more than like everybody
Yeah, at
else.
least. It's at least 50 at all times.
And I see people getting fuel there, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Like, I don't I really don't understand that. I'm like,
I'd be interested to see, like, the innards of an engine after 100,000 miles of Techron, because they claim it burns cleaner and da-da-da. I wonder, just to know.
No, and like, okay.
Is it?
So
Is it worth it?
I build hot rods all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like, I build fast cars and do burnouts, and I can
You've never opened one. I'm like, this
Dude,
guy uses Chevron.
Never. Never. I'm gonna tell you right now, dude, like, emissions is bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, straight up. So what happens is you have all your PCV system and everything, and all it's doing is pumping all that shit on top of the valve. So like when you tear a motor apart and it's got emissions and everything on it, the valves are all fucking black and oil soot and fucking nasty and disgusting and blah blah. Like on the race cars, every single one of them, dudes. I run that thing runs 91 pump fuel, makes 30 pounds of booze, dude. Beat the fuck out of it, right? No emissions. Zero. I pulled that motor apart like 8 or 9 times, dude, and it looks like the same way as I put it together, except for the pistons are a little bit fucking golden. Like they have a little bit of gold color on. So, and I run your gas.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. Get 91 and put it in there. Like I don't think there is any, personally, I don't think running Tektron fuel, and I don't know if that's gonna get me.
Yeah, no.
You know, you can't be telling people that, but it's bullshit. Like, what the fuck? Like, that motor runs fine.
It's not like they're offering like 93 or something like that. You know?
Yeah.
It's still like 91.
Supposedly just an additive that makes it all 50 cents. I don't know.
And that's another thing that people don't understand, right? So, like the octane rating, and listen to this, guys. I mean, really, all an octane rating is how fast or how slow or fast the fuel burns. So, 91 will burn slower, 87 will burn faster. And now that doesn't mean because I'm running 91, I'm getting better fuel mileage. What's happening is when I'm talking about how fast or how slow it burns is when the piston comes up and explodes, when the spark ignites it and it goes boom, right? It's the time it takes for it to like be on fire to out. That time, that period is longer or shorter. That's the difference. So as that piston is coming up and all that pressure and combustion is coming up, and then the spark plug ignites the fucking the fuel and air, right? And the piston comes up and goes boom, right? So if it burns too fast, you have detonation, and now it's going boom, the piston is coming up and it gets like stuck, right? Like and then it creates, now you break shit. Whereas if you burn it slower, this, you can light it sooner, this comes up, boom, and it's a smoother.
Sends it back down.
But as far as like, is it gonna get you quote unquote better fuel mileage?
No way.
If you like, you need to run better fuel mileage when you have a higher fucking compression motor or stuff like
Well,
that.
you got like something European, run 91. You got a Corolla, just 87. 87.
You're wasting your money.
There's no benefit.
There's no benefit, like zero benefit. You're not getting better
And
fuel
if there
mileage.
is, you're not ever going to experience that benefit.
Yeah, no, it's never gonna. It's,
You'll never realize
You'll never realize. You just.
Except for your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just pissing money away. Save yourself some money. Run 87.
Yeah.
That's
From
wild.
gas and Grub.
From gas and Grub. From gas and Grub. 87 from gas and Grub. Good to go. Good to go. That's nuts, dude. I didn't know. I was always curious about that, how the fuel thing worked, like in the market. And 3 times a week, that's nuts.
And it's the margins aren't good either. I mean, depending, I think forever up until I bought the place, Dan would tell me I think he averaged 15 cents a gallon profit. Forever. And it during COVID, for whatever reason, the profits spiked huge. We were making, I mean, there was times it was close to $1, and it was all dictated on Mavericks, Circle K, and I would think when my price would come in, why is the market going with an 80-cent profit when we've always had 20 cents? And so we'd ride it as long as I could. As long as everyone else was high, I would try and stay competitive. I was never greedy. I would stay just the cheapest in town, right with them. And now I think it's settled down. We're a lot less than that, less than 50 cents even.
Yes.
You know, we're lucky to get a quarter, I think, if we had to put an average.
Okay.
What do you think is your best seller as a convenient store? Like, what do you think makes the most profit?
Probably gas and tobacco.
Gas and tobacco.
But yeah.
I was gonna guess alcohol.
Now, well, just the quantity of, because tobacco is expensive as well.
Oh, okay.
So you gotta remember, you guys are, it's like $10 a pack now. My average tobacco order a week is 20 to 30,000 at each store.
Harmful.
I mean,
Do you mark it up like percentage?
yeah, tobacco's it's like 15% for tobacco.
It's just a lot. It's a lot of numbers.
It's just quantity. It's all, foot traffic driven. You're really, the more foot traffic we have, the more sales we'll generate, and that's.
So since you own a gas station, I've always been curious about this one. What about the scratchers?
We make nothing off that. Yeah, I think.
Really?
I think last year, I'll just straight up give the number. I think my one store, my business store, made $30,000 off lottery.
Oh, really?
So enough to basically pay one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, one
In a
person.
year, yeah, that's really.
And well, no, especially considering I think our sales were
Pretty good.
yeah like 800,000 in scratcher sales, and then like 300,000 in online like Powerball, and so we're
Yeah, $1 million in sales. Made 30 grand.
Have you had some pretty good winning tickets?
a couple $50,000. I think that's the biggest we've had is 50,000. I think we sold 2 or 3 of those. bunch of, you know, 5 and 10,000 worth. They used to give us a little check. Then it went all the way down to just a little piece of paper. And now they just give you an attaboy and they don't even. They'll just tell you who sold it. And then like, oh, okay.
Like they used to make it exciting. Like you could put it up like, look guys, we sold it.
It was cool. Like it, and it wasn't our check, but a guy won. I think it was 100,000 when Dan owned it. And we had this big check, and I like hanging up on the wall for promotion, you know, it gets people excited.
No, nobody's like,
No. No, you know what? That's not true. No, it was Levi's store, but it was right before he got it. Somebody won, I think, 1.5 million, and never came back. He never came to tell him who it was. They never found out who he was.
did he collect it?
Yeah, but he never came.
But he never came back and was like, I won.
Well, I never tipped the.
Never, yeah. And I
it.
think that's what a lot of guys worry about. I think that they worry like, man, I don't want to win $2 million. How much am I expected to tip on that? Like,
Yeah.
You know,
I think the girls. I think if you came in and give them anything, like here's $100.
Yeah.
Like I think they'd be stoked.
Groceries.
I have a buddy that he does it every once in a while. Like when the Powerball or whatever gets over like $1 billion or some shit, he'll sell me like $200. He's like, hey dude, can you go buy me some lottery tickets? Because he lives in Vegas. Because they don't play the lottery in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So I'll go down to the store and I'll buy them and I lay them all out on the pool table in the barbershop and I take pictures of all of them.
Yeah.
And then I hide them. Cause like I don't know, dude. Like if the guy wins, I don't want to be the guy who lost his lottery ticket. You know, I'll come put him in my safe. You know what I mean? Like I'll take pictures of him, and then I don't look at him again. And I'll be like, look, dude, here's your numbers. If one win, call me, and I'll come give it to you.
Yeah.
Like I don't want anything. Like I'm gonna make my own money. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna, but I'll help you. Yeah. And he's always like, nah, dude, I'll take care of you. I'm like, no, dude, like seriously.
Yeah.
If you win on one of these, I'm happy for you.
I think it'd be cool to just sit, especially if I knew the person. I think it'd be great.
That'd just be exciting just to know.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it.
Now I heard this. I don't know if this is true. You know the guy who owns Aiden Repair?
Mm-hmm.
I heard he won it. I don't know if it's true or not, but he's already doing. He owns a couple of different businesses. I can probably get him out here.
I don't know where he would have won it, unless that was him that won that.
That's what I'm saying. Like
I don't know.
That's who I heard it was. I heard it was him. I heard he was the one who won it, which is kind of funny because he like out of all the people.
Yeah, he's probably definitely not come say anything to anybody.
Yeah, I don't think he would ever admit to it. But also, I don't think he would need it. Like I think he's got like 6 or 7 businesses. He's killing it.
Yeah,
he's killing it. But I don't know. I heard it was going around for a while that he was the one who won it, and I was like, wow, somebody who's already killing it wins it.
That's usually how it works.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild, dude?
Man, that would be sweet.
I don't ever play. I've only played like.
I've played a couple. I can't play now.
Times?
I can't play at all unless I can buy it from somewhere else. I can't play from my location.
Oh, okay.
They say you're like in a cheat or something?
Yeah, for whatever reason I can't buy them from my own machine. You know.
You hit random numbers and because it's
just as a license holder I can't. So, but I think even before that, I think I've only got the Powerball when it was really big.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that time he asked me to go buy some. I'm like, that's like $1.3 billion or some shit. And what's the Powerball? $2?
Yeah.
I think I bought one number, and I was like, nah. I don't know, dude. I'm just kind of weird on gambling.
I'm not a gambler.
That's not really my thing. I tried the sports betting thing.
Mm-hmm. I do okay there, but
I didn't do so great.
But it's different. Like it's easier to quit on that than it is like in the casino. Just walk away. That's a little harder to do.
A little harder to do. Yeah, sports betting. You're like, whatever.
Yeah, I get bummed out. I lose $50. Like, no, again, Cowboys suck again.
Hey, let me down again. Yeah. I've always wanted to try that though, dude. I've always wanted to try like pick a team who is always the dog like all season. Like they're bound to win one game. Like there's
just keep betting them.
There is no team that's gonna lose every single game, right? I would wonder like how much money you would have to bet on each money line. I think that's how you'd win in a casino.
No, there was a guy who did it. He did something. I forgot exactly what it was, but he was doing like I think 10-game parlay every week. And it was something he determined if he bet the dogs every time. He had it down to like after a certain amount of times it was going to be inevitable that he would have hit it. you know, and he determined the amount he'd put in depending on that, so he didn't ever go negative. So,
Right.
you know, if as long as the odds stuck to it.
Yeah, kind of like you roulette. He's pretty savvy when it comes to that stuff. I think that's a game that you play too. Like,
See, I don't have that much patience to think that far into it. I'm too much of like a passionate sportsman to, so I'm not a good gambler because of it. But I break even, but I never make any money.
never kill it or anything. Hell yeah. Well, let's get back. We kind of, like I said, we kind of like
Hey,
4 minutes
Alright.
till break time. Well, here, let's just fucking break it.
Break. All right.
I guess.
All right. So, what problems do you currently face with your business?
currently, I guess my biggest obstacle now is competing, just competing with some of the bigger competition in town, like the Circle K's and Mavericks. I feel like Circle K is on a big push around town. They built that one on Stockton Hill. They were supposed to build the one on Bank and Airway.
Yeah.
I think they're still doing that, right?
Well, from what I heard, that one's on hold, and what I hear now is they're Eastern and Wallapai Mountain Road.
Oh, really?
Oh, right there in that corner, that lot that's been
Yeah,
open
big corner.
forever. Yeah,
Forever.
yeah.
That's what I hear. So they're coming, and so I feel like that's they're on our doorstep. We've got to keep expanding to fend them off.
What do you think you do? Like, has Circle K, like, what do you think that Circle K offers that you don't?
Just the size of their store. I mean, they have like 8 pumps. They, you know, their size and square footage of their stores is huge.
I thought it's.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
because it's so big, they have the hot food. They have, I mean, everything you could possibly, like the Maverick too. They just offer so much. It makes it hard to compete with such little locations like we had.
Okay. Would you ever? Well, I mean, I guess you were looking at buying that other place. You were trying.
Yeah, no, that's
trying to
the goal.
expand.
Is the way I view it. If we want to stay competitive, we're going to have to keep expanding. So, what that means, I don't know. I mean, new locations for sure. That's definitely something I'm always looking for. You know, potentially building on the one on Northern and Benton. I bought the property right next to it, so I could always build onto that one and make it larger if we need to.
I think that'd be a smart one.
Yeah.
Because I think
Good idea.
town's growing that way, right? I think
Right.
it's safe to say, like King. I think that Northern,
Well, heck, even with that O'Reilly's going in and
That's big.
it's starting to grow
Yeah,
on this side of town. So, and that worries me more. That Circle K is going to be looking more on our side of town. If I
so
don't do
maybe if you
something,
can
say
beat up,
better.
you
Maybe
can
we
beat.
just buy the property.
That's that's why I bought the one next to me. I at least control what goes
That
there.
was the Kingman Shady dealership right there.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And that was the biggest nightmare, getting rid of those cars. You would not believe how much of a nightmare that was.
Really?
You would think like, oh, I bought this property, these vehicles, like I'm just gonna have them towed off. And the guy, the code enforcement, goes, you can't do that. You have to own them. I'm like, well, you just told me that I own them now, and they're my responsibility. He goes, well, no, you don't own the titles to them. So if someone came through and said, that's my boat, and I had it scrapped, well, now I'm potentially liable for his boat because he didn't know that it was private property when he parked it there. It was before I bought it, and it was just a big mess. So then he said I have to get a title for each vehicle and on the boat and the trailers for both of them. Yeah, and I'm like, so I'm spending a couple thousand on titles, and I told him, no, that's outrageous. Like,
There's jet skis.
yeah, you're letting this guy sell them for free, knowing that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
But then when I buy the property and try and clean it up, you're going to try and fine me for it? Like, that doesn't even make sense. And so when I talked to a sheriff, and he ended up red tagging them all for me, saying this is private property. Mm-hmm. And then it gave me a window, if they was still there, in I think 48 hours, I could then call a tow truck
Okay.
and had the tow company haul them off. And then they have to go through getting the titles for them.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, and they took them off.
And they came through. There used
Speaking
to
of Aiden, it was Aiden that I had.
Oh, heck
I
yeah.
do it, and it was.
Oh, really?
And they love it because they don't charge me anything, and they get to keep all
They
it.
get to keep all this stuff, and they're gonna flip it or sell it or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, there was shit out there all the time.
It was a dealership.
At one point, there was 10 vehicles or boats. 10, and I called the guy. I'm like, I don't.
How did that work? How do you just go park? Like, I couldn't do that. How do you
Yeah.
just go park your shit on a lot and be like, here it is for sale?
Oh, and then leave it there for. And the one boat was there for a year and a half. He never moved it. And I think he was just storing it. I don't think he was trying to
He
sell
wasn't
it.
even trying to sell it. He's like, not even answering the phone.
Yeah.
What's the fucking space number up there? Just leave it there. That's our storage for the 12.
I was saying, like I remember for a while, like I'd go over there to see like what's for sale, and like
Hermes is like, oh, that's a good flip.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna buy that.
no, that'd be like 5 cars there, and they all have the same phone number, and I'm just like, these guys have a freaking micro little dealership right now. They're not paying any taxes.
Oh, and it pissed me off. He was all the way up onto our property line, and that's where my employees parked.
Oh,
And so, and I asked him one day when he came in. I never knew who he was, but I saw him out there parking one day. So he came in. I'm like, hey, like we've always parked right there. Now you parked your vehicles, and we can't. Like when the women come into work, they got to leave at 10 at night, and they got to like, it's dark.
Walk the
You know?
back 40
He says,
to their car.
I don't care. You don't own that property. That's exactly what he told me.
What?
Wait till I do, fucker. Wait till I do. And now they're all. I couldn't wait till the day that I got to call him myself. Come move some of these, and I think there was 3 or 4 of them that he moved, and they were on the corner just down the street, across, and right after that. But I loved calling that guy and telling him, you got 20 minutes. I'm not even giving you a full day. Fuck you.
I own it now.
I own this property.
He had
bitch.
nothing to say. He hadn't spoken to me since.
That's good.
Mike lost a customer.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen him since. But
You don't own this property. He's like, okay. All right, motherfucker, watch this.
like, what a jerk, you know?
That's wild. Yeah, these women walk out the backs for you, like in the dark. Like, and I mean, let's be honest. Like,
Oh, there's
It's not
times
that-
where even there they have their tires slashed. I've had windows broken. Someone broke into a vehicle before, stole a wallet out of there.
Oh, damn.
I don't understand people do.
So I'm legitimately worried for some of these women. They're, you know, some of them are little 18-year-old girl walking out to her car in the dark at 10 at night. I wouldn't trust anybody.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, based off of your other story, it doesn't sound like the boys you have working there are very.
Well, no, and
Protected.
I don't want them. I don't necessarily want them to put their, you know, because a
Yeah.
lot of them aren't.
You just
don't
avoid
want
that
someone out there
situation.
trying to play hero and get himself shot,
No,
or
that's
stabbed or
true.
something. Because then I'd feel guilty for something like that.
That's true. I guess I didn't think of it like that. But I don't know. I'm weird. Like,
I did tell my when the one kid was throwing punches on cops, you know, I told him, because he's like, am I going to be fired? First of all, if you're at work and somebody starts throwing punches at you, like, if you don't defend yourself, I'll probably fire you. I'm not going to allow you to just ball up. I mean, you got to do something.
yeah. You're like, hell no, you're not gonna be fired out. Hell no, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry, Mike. I really tried to do everything I could to not have to do that, but
I sent him a clip because he threw a 1-2, and it was a good one too. And I clipped it out of the surveillance and sent it. To him.
He's like,
He loved it. I just shows all of his friends and everything.
Look, dude. That's
Chris.
funny. That's stupid.
It was good though.
That's wild.
Alright, so what are some of the issues you had to face, like while starting up, well, whenever you took up ownership of the sanctuary?
Well, it was right in the middle of COVID. It was right at the beginning of 2021. So our first year in business, we had, I think, at the one location, we went through 29 people
Holy
in
cow.
1 year. It was I think in the 10 years previous to that, I hadn't gone through that many people. But in that 1 year alone, it was the craziest thing. I mean, there was people that would work one paycheck. There was a kid that worked half of one shift. He's like, I'm gonna go out and smoke. And did he just get in his, where's he going? He just left, and you call him and no one answers. And yeah, people, they just didn't want to work, and they were getting paid to stay at home.
Yeah, they were making more money sitting at home.
Staying at home. I had people that at one point quit because they thought I was working people with COVID. So then they quit and then told the health department, and they came and tried to come down on me and said I was working people when they were sick, and it was a mess. So it was challenging trying to keep people and stay staffed during all of that. I would say was probably my number one challenge.
You think COVID kind of messed up the market even like still today? Like, you think that's one of your hardest challenges is finding workers currently?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it was always a challenge finding quality employees, because when you're when you're drawing from a low skilled labor pool, you know, where the people aren't real high skilled, they're not going out and doing things
Like
that
a
require
gas
trade.
station job is
It's a low skill.
a beginner job. Or
It's
whatever,
they do tend to have a higher turnover just in general, but I don't, for whatever reason, COVID, it like instilled this, I don't know, they can go get another one, or like the way I see it, I don't know, it's especially on a minimum wage job, like heck, I can just go to the next minimum wage, or I can just go to McDonald's now and make 15 over here, and
Everyone's hiring.
yeah, that's exactly right.
And I think, I mean, what do you guys think about this? Let's dive into that for a second. Like with the minimum wage and then just jobs and everybody hiring, let's go back to like 2008, right? So in 2008, the crash happened. There was all these foreclosures. People were losing their jobs. The economy, took a shit. And I felt like the market got flooded with, we need to work, you know what I mean? Like workers, like we need to go to work because we need to fucking pay for bills and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now, after COVID, I think it's almost the opposite, right? Like I feel like everybody we talk to is looking for workers.
Right.
Like there's the pool of people in 2008 to pull from was insane. Like people were like, I can't get a job because nobody's hiring. Whereas it's kind of different now. I feel like everybody's hiring.
I think they say the gap between what is needed in the labor force and what is available is like there's never been a bigger gap, but there's more people unemployed than there's ever been, and there's more jobs that are not taken than there's ever been.
I think what happened
So why that?
was during COVID is a lot of people started their own business. So
Right.
when you would still hire people, you could have hired just people who are making their own business during COVID.
And during COVID, it worked well. Like a lot of businesses worked well, and the economy boomed in a certain way that it never did before. Even our business, I mean, part of it, we didn't even allow customers in the store, and we were still having record numbers through the whole thing. And so
That's wild.
Why is
That's
that?
one of the cool things about the gas we have. They have a drive-through.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's a perk that I think keeps you.
I mean, we
different.
had 6-7 cars deep, and we had people walking out to help people in line to keep the lines moving because we weren't allowing them in the store. But I don't know what it is. Like he said, since people starting their own businesses, working from home, and then they get used to not being at work. So when those jobs that aren't available anymore, they're still unemployed at home, and they're not willing to get back in the workforce because of whatever reason.
That's what I mean. Like it's almost like people. I mean, yeah, there's probably a large percentage of people who started their own thing, but there's also like I've battled with it all the time. Like I look at the barbershop and I think, oh, it could do well, blah 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 blah. But like the pool of barbers that I have to pull from is like non-existent here. Like there is no barbers. So then like how do you? And this is something I've been trying to figure out honestly is how do you bring somebody, like you can make good money in the barbershop, but how do you get somebody to pack their family up, move from whatever town or city they live in to come work in your barbershop? Like how
Yeah, in a normal industry, you'd offer them like $20,000 to come move your family out here and help pay for your.
Yeah,
How do you do that?
How do you do that as a barber?
As a barber.
Like as a barbershop owner, like I'm not paying for somebody to